Alright gang, going into a new computer art tutorial today with Pixlr, and what we're going to explore is creating an animation, a surreal animation, using the new Pixlr Designer. And so as you can see here, I've got a few different elements in a background space that are all kind of appearing and then doing some kind of action and then disappearing in this little background that's provided by Pixlr. So let's X out of here and let's go to Pixlr Designer and kind of check out what we have going on here. So I'll try and close or toggle back to home. And so where you will find Pixlr Designer is if you go to the three tabs when you're just at the Pixlr website. So if we start from pixlr.com, you would see Pixlr Designer here as the D. We would go to Start New, Empty Design. I'm going to call this one Surreal, and then click Create. Now, a couple things we might want to do when we start out. So when I go to Design, I can click on Background. Right now you can see the space, the background is white. I'm going to take away the white so I can see where my background space is a little bit better, and then click Apply. Alright, so the next thing I wanted to do is actually make my space a square. So I'll click on the Smart Resize option here and go to Square, just so that I have a square space. You may not need a square space, but for the image that I'm going to put in my background, I will need one. So I just wanted to do that now. I'll go to Media and then look at these backgrounds here. You can choose any one of these backgrounds. You don't have to choose a square one, but there are lots of different environments, places where you can put some weird and odd stuff. Even if you choose a rectangular environment, I think that it would still stretch and just go outside the edges. So choose any kind of environment you want. Maybe I'll take this one and I'll go ahead and stretch it to fill. All right, and then I would go to back to Design or back to Media, and I'll drop in some items here. So you can check out this tab here with the 15th anniversary, has some different items that would work as far as surreal items goes. So maybe a light bulb, I could have a floating light bulb, that would be surreal. And we want to add 3 surreal items. I kind of like this, the lips is a cool one. But I can also X out of Media, or I go back into Media and I can find there are some other menus if I keep scrolling down with some other options of different kinds of things that we can add into this as well. So you got all kinds of things as you keep scrolling through, but we want to keep them semi-realistic. These are actually interesting, kind of like clouds over here. Because we do want this to be surrealistic, we want them to be sort of semi-realistic things that we're picking. So maybe I'll just throw in a handbag here, or actually a lipstick kind of makes sense because there are the lips in here as well. Or I kind of like the idea of the record. So I'll add a record. Alright, so I've got 3 items all arranged. What you will notice is when you resize these, they may squish, which is not how Pixlr usually works. If you hold the Shift key on your keyboard and you change your size, it will keep the proportions of the images. I can also transform these. When I click on them, it will let me kind of flip them or rotate them. So if I wanted to rotate this light bulb, maybe have it kind of like floating in the sky here. The lips can be floating here. Maybe I'll make those just a little bit smaller. And this record, don't know what I'll do with it yet. But maybe I'll just kind of tuck it into the corner over here. All right, now we want to add some animation. So in order to add animation to these pieces, we'll just click on the animation tab here. If you go over these, it'll roll through and it'll show you, it'll do some different effects to your entire page. And those are cool. But what I'd like us to try and do is add animation to each layer. So you'll see each one of these images we brought in has its own layer. And so with this one, I can do an entrance, so a way for the item to enter. So how it's going to enter, maybe a fade in. And then I have a scene animation or something it's going to do after it enters. So I can maybe make it do a beat or a bounce. And then I'll do an exit animation. So how do I want it to leave the animation? Pixelating is kind of fun. This backup is kind of cool, how it spins. And then if I want to test play this, I can click on the play icon in the lower left-hand corner and see how that will fade in. So fades in and then bounces and then goes up and away. So I would just repeat that same sort of process with each layer. So now if I want to go to the lips, I could enter in, have an enter in animation. So maybe these fly in from the side And then I'll have another scene animation, something that it's going to do, maybe this gelatine, kind of like squishing. And you can change these speeds and you can get more specific with how you want these to work. You can change the direction or the speed of it. So if you want that squish of the jello to happen faster, I can keep clicking on that, and now that little like squish will happen quicker. Maybe I actually want it to happen slower, so you could really kind of like see the squish. Yeah, I think the squish slower actually works better. And then I'll do an exit. So how do I want this to exit? Maybe I'll go pixelated. That's a fun one. You can click play here to test play and see how that layer works. But if you play all, and you click in the lower left-hand corner, it'll play all your pieces. So now I just have one last piece to do some animating with. So I'm just going to maybe have this one sink in. And then maybe in the middle, it will do kind of like a floating. And then it's exit, action, let's see, melt. That's kind of fun. All right, so let's play these all together. And now we have kind of a surreal animation where you have a few different items, and you could add more items than that if you want to, but I would do at least that many. When we're all finished, we click save. You can choose the MP4 or GIF. I think I like the GIF option for this. I like to click 2 times on the speed and also click loop so that this loops and it goes at a little bit quicker of a pace. When you do 1 time speed, it sometimes ends up a little choppy. So we'll do 2 times speed and loop animation, and then we'll go to save as. You could also choose an MP4, but that just means you will have to click play to replay your animation each time. So we'll call this Surreal. It's a GIF, and we'll save it. Actually, I already have one named Surreal, so I'll call this one Surreal 2, and we'll click save. It'll work through, and that is it. All right, I would find that in my downloads, and I'd be able to check it out and save it to my Google Drive and turn it in for my assignment. Anyways, that is all we have for today for checking out the new Pixlr Designer tab. So I hope you guys have fun and get creative creating your own surrealistic animations.